Hi students, today we are going to study about the soil and the formation of soil and the components of soil. So what is meant by soil? Soil is a thin layer of material covering the earth surface. So now what is the use of this soil? The soil supports the growth of plants and holding the roots firmly. It provides water and nutrients to the plants. It is a home for many organisms. You know that many animals live there. Soil is essential for agriculture. Agriculture provides food, clothing, and shelter for all. So now we are going to study about what are the components of soil. For that, we do an experiment, otherwise an activity. Take some soil, observe each of the soil sample carefully. Take a handful of soil and put it in the glass containing water. Stir it well with the stick to dissolve the soil. Now, let it stand undisturbed for some time. Observe it afterwards. See, in the glass tumbler, you can see the different layers of the soil. From down to up, you can see first gravel. Gravel means little bigger particles. And then sand. Sand, you know how big it is. From the beach, you can see that sand. Now clay is very fine particles. And then humus. So the soil contains gravels, sand, clay, humus. So these are the components of the soil. So now what is meant by humus? Humus means the rotting dead matter in the soil. Means you know that so many leaves are falling down, so many animals are dying, and it mixed with the soil and it forms the humus. So now let's see how soil is formed. You probably know that the soil is formed by the breakdown of the rocks, by the action of wind, water, and climate. So this process is called weathering. Weathering takes place with the help of the natural things like wind, water, and the climatic conditions like rain. So how it is formed, we'll see. Soil is formed by breakdown of the rocks by the action of wind, water, and climate. First of all, the cracks are formed in rocks by the excess heat, especially in summer. Such cracks widen slowly and slowly. Heavy rain, flow of river water, wind, waves of the sea water, etc. are responsible for wear and tear on rocks. The big and heavy rocks are broken into smaller pieces and come on the earth's surface. The smaller particles mix with the decomposed parts of dead plants and animals. The smaller particles mix with the decomposed parts and then it is formed the humus. So thus the soil is formed by the process of weathering. Now let's see what is soil profile. A vertical section through different layers of the soil is called the soil profile. Each layer differs in feel, that means in the texture, color, depth, and chemical composition. So these layers are referred to us as horizons. We usually see the top surface of the soil, not the layers below it. If we look at the sides of the recently dug ditch, we can see the inner layers of the soil. Such a view enables us to observe the soil profile at that place. The soil profile can also be seen while digging a well or laying the foundation of a building. It can also be seen at the sides of the road, on a hill, or at a steep river bank. The uppermost horizon is generally dark in color, as it is rich in humus and minerals. The humus makes the soil fertile and provides nutrients to the growing plants. This layer is generally soft, porous, and can retain more water. It is called the topsoil or a horizon. This provides shelter for many living organisms such as worms, rodents, moles, and beetles. The roots of small plants are embedded entirely in the topsoil. The next layer has a lesser amount of humus but more of minerals. This layer is generally harder and more compact, and it is called the B horizon or the middle layer. The third layer is the C horizon, which is made up of small lumps of rocks with the cracks and crevices. Below this layer is the bedrock, which is hard and so difficult to dig with spade. So now you know what is soil components and how it is formed and the soil profile. Now we'll see the different types of soil. The soil is there are three types. One is sandy soil, clayey soil, loamy soil. So sandy soil means what are the properties they have? It has greater proportion of sand particles, means the sand particle amount is more and the less content of the humus. So it is not good for growing crops. The sand particles are quite large. They cannot fit closely together, so there are large spaces between them. These spaces are filled with air. The water can drain quickly through the spaces between the sand particles, so sand soil tend to be light, well aerated and rather dry. Here the percolation rate of water for sandy soil is highest, but water holding capacity is less. So the next one, the properties of clay soil. It has greater proportion of clay particles, and the clay particles being much smaller, they pack tightly together, leaving with little space. Water can be held in the tiny gaps between the particles of clay. So clay soil is heavy. The percolation rate of water is very, very less, because they have water retained efficiency is high. Due to humus, it becomes slippery in monsoon and waterlogging for a long time. In summer, it becomes dry and cracks are formed in it. Ploughing is quite difficult in such soil. Now the next one is the properties of loamy soil. The loamy soil means the amount of sand and the clay will be almost equal. Same proportion. It contains silt particles also. The loamy soil also has humus in it. It has the right water holding capacity for the growth of plants. The best topsoil for growing plants is loam. So we can see the clay soil, sandy soil and the loamy soil. These three types of soil has the different proportions of the sand and the clay and the humus particles. Now take some clay soil, loamy soil and sandy soil. Take a fistful of soil from one of the sample. Remove any pebbles, rocks or grass blades from it. Now add water drop by drop and knead the soil. Try to make a ball from this soil. On a flat surface, roll this ball into a cylinder. Try to make a ring from this cylinder. Repeat this activity with other samples. So, Ball can be made from the clayey and the loamy soil, but not from the sandy soil. So, cylinder rings can be made with only the clayey soil. The clayey soil, but the sandy soil cannot be shaped in such a specific type. The next one will see the different properties of soil. What are the properties they have? They have the percolation rate and the water holding capacity, and that means the absorption of water and moisture in the soil. So the first, let us see how the percolation capacity is in different types of soil. Make 3 teams and name team A, B and C. Each team perform this activity. If PVC pipe is available, cut it into 20 centimeter long pieces and use them. Ensure that each team uses pipes of the same diameter. At the place where you collect the soil, place the pipe about 2 centimeter deep in the ground. Pour 200 ml water in the pipe slowly. For measuring 200 ml water, you can use any empty 200 ml bottle. Note the time. When all the water has percolated, leave the pipe empty. Note the time again. From this, find the percolation time. That means at last how much time you have is there, that is T2 minus T1. So calculate the percolation rate by the formula, the amount of water divided by the percolation time, so that we can find out the percolation rate of the different soils. Now next one, the retention remain in the, otherwise water remain in the form of moisture in the soil. So how can we know that how much moisture is there in the soil? So the first, you take a hard glass test tube, put 2 spoonfuls of soil sample in it, heat it on a flame. After some time, observe the upper part of hard glass test tube. Water drops are seen on the upper part of the boiling tube. On heating, water in the soil evaporates, moves up and condenses on the cooler inner wall of the upper part of the boiling tube. That means soil has water in the form of moisture. So when the soil is heated, the water content from the soil is evaporated and deposited on the inner wall of the container, so that we can come to know that how much amount of moisture is there in the soil. Now the next property is how much water content is absorbed by the soil, means absorption of water. Take a plastic funnel, take a filter paper, fold and place it as shown in the figure. Weight 50 grams of dry powdered soil and pour it into the funnel. Measure a certain amount of water in the measuring cylinder and pour it drop by drop on the soil. Use a dropper for this purpose. Do not let all the water fall at one spot. Pour water all over the soil. Keep pouring water till it starts dripping. Subtract the amount of water left in the measuring cylinder from the amount you started with. This is the amount of water retained by the soil. Means the weight of the soil we have taken is 50 grams. The initial volume of the water in the measuring cylinder is UML and the final is VML. So we can subtract it from the U minus V. That means 1 ml of water has weight equal to 1 gram. That means U minus V divided by 50. So we can repeat this activity with the different types of soil. So in this way we can calculate the how much water is absorbed by the different types of soil, we can find out. So now you have studied the different types of soil, different properties of soil, and what does the soil contain and how it is formed. Now different types of soils are found in different parts of India. In some parts there is clay soil, in some parts there is loamy soil, while in some other parts there is sandy soil. Soil is affected by wind, rainfall, temperature, light, and humidity. Now, these are some important climatic factors which affect the soil profile and bring changes in the soil structure. The climatic factors as well as the component of soil determine the various types of vegetation and crops that might grow in any region. The clay soil and loamy soils are both suitable for growing cereals like wheat and gram. Such soils are good at retaining water. For paddy, soils rich in clay and organic matter and having good capacity to retain water are ideal. For masoor dal and other pulses, loamy soil which drain water easily are required. For cotton, sandy loam or loam which drain water easily can hold plenty of air are more suitable. The crops such as wheat are grown in fine clay soil because they are rich in humus and are very fertile. Find from parents that the different types of soil and crops grown in your area. So now you know that which soil is best for growing plants, children. It is loamy soil because the soil is a mixture of sand, clay and silt particles. It has the moderate water percolation and water retaining efficiency. So it has lot of humus in it. So it is essential for growing crops. So the next one is the soil erosion. So what is meant by soil erosion, children? Soil erosion means the removal of upper layer of the soil from the with the help of wind, water and rain. So the removal of upper layer of the soil with the help of agents like wind and water is called soil erosion. So which are the factors responsible for soil erosion? So the first one we can see the deforestation means cutting of trees in large number is the main cause of soil erosion. The next one we can say flood and forest fire, overgrazing, all these are responsible for soil erosion. Now, how can we reduce this soil erosion? So, soil erosion can be reduced by the help of growing more trees. Example, afforestation. That means it is the best way to reduce or prevent soil erosion is growing plants. Then construction of dams, terrace farming. These are the different ways we can reduce the soil erosion. The next one is soil pollution. The soil is one of the most valuable and natural resource on earth. When it gets polluted by various means, example, by human activities, so we have to take the necessary steps. So what are the sources of soil pollution? First one, improper dumping of garbage and sewage waste in soil. Excessive use of pesticides and fertilizers which get accumulated in the soil. The waste materials such as plastic and metals which do not decay easily, it is dumped. The spilling or leakage of the chemicals. So these are the ways the soil is getting polluted. So how to control the soil pollution? The solid waste should not be dumped on land. They should be recycled and proper measures for disposal of the sewage should be adopted. animal and domestic waste should be used to produce biogas. Instead of chemical pesticides and fertilizers, organic pesticides should be used. The liquid waste from the factories and mines should be properly treated before they are released into the water bodies such as rivers and lakes and on the soil. So, these are the ways we can reduce the soil pollution. So, we have to take care of the soil and we have to grow more plants so that the soil fertility and the soil erosion can be avoided. So now read the lesson and find out the objectives and write in the textbook. Thank you.